Podcast by Zayan Aker. The book, The River by Gary Paulson. Brian Robinson is a kid who was stuck in the Canadian woods for 42 days because of a plane crash. Are you Brian Robinson, who survived in the Canadian woods for 2 months? 42 days, Brian said. Not quite 2 months. Yeah, that's me, Brian said. Page 2. How did Brian get stuck in the woods? Well, he was in a small plane and they crashed near a lake, and Brian was stuck there for 42 days and had to survive. Brian Robinson is a kid who was stuck in the Canadian woods for 42 days and asked to do it again with a guy named Derek Holzer, who's a guy that is in the survival school and wants him to go again to help people who are in this situation survive. But in a new location not that far from the Canadian woods. While on the plane, Brian waves bye to his mom. Brian and Derek are going to an unnamed lake 100 miles from the L-shaped lake where Brian's plane crashed. The idea is to survive the way Brian did, with nothing but clothes on their backs and the items in their pockets. However, when Brian boards the plane, he realizes that Derek has brought along a large assortment of survival gear. Upon landing, Brian insists that they go send the gear back home with the plane. Derek agrees to only take the emergency radio and his briefcase filled with notebooks to take notes. Brian is hit and wakes late the next morning to find Derek in a coma. Brian does not know what to do for Derek. Brian calls for help, but the radio was fried by the lightning strike last night because of the thunderstorm. So Brian makes a raft and is trying to make it towards Brancock Trading Post. I felt like this book was very interesting, but at the start of the book, it kind of gave a lot away about at the end. But it was still very unique. I've never read a book like this before. I would rate this book 8.5 out of 10, only because the start of the book, like I said, gave a lot about the end away. But the book gets those 8.5 points because it was very interesting and unique. This book connects what I've learned in school with a book called A Long Walk to Water by Linda Sue Park. At challenges like Brian and Derek have to face, like food and general survival. I would recommend this book to a friend because it isn't boring and has a nice storyline. What do you think will happen if Derek didn't come with Brian? Derek was unconscious and it seemed to be in coma. Page 67. Maybe Brian is better off without Derek. Maybe not. Goodbye.